Hey friends, welcome back to Fortuna Cucina. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make nuts, the holiday spice nuts that you are going to love. Now, if you are thinking about giving a gift to somebody, like your mailman, like, I don't know, whoever waters your plants when you're on vacation, okay, I want you to stop right now. We are not giving a ton of gifts this year. Why? The economy is a total poop show right now, okay? So the economy is crazy. You don't need to be doing that. What I would rather have you do is give a thoughtful gift to somebody so that they know you are thinking about them. That's all you need to do. Even if all you can afford is a Christmas card this year, that is fine. But you know, I wanted to recreate something that my mother used to do, which was spicy nuts during the holiday season. And she used to make them really spicy with like cayenne and paprika and stuff like that. And I think that the spiciness is great if that's what you want to do. I wanted to try something different and just do sweet nuts that had some cinnamon and had some warmth to them. So this is what I made last night. Obviously not this entire jar, but you can see, look how yummy these look. And let me show you the whole bag. Okay, so it's this whole bag. We've probably eaten a quarter of the bag already. And I'll just show you, these are a little sticky, but look how yummy those look. These are amazing. These are not difficult to make. You can use a little jar like this and give them as gifts, but you can also create your own packaging with like, put together a little piece of wax paper, tie it with a bow. You can do something like that too. So let's talk about the cast of characters and how you're going to make these delicious nuts. The first thing that I would look at is what kind of nut you prefer. Me, I have pecans. So I had these pecans from Costco. These are $13.99 for 1.7 pounds, and I used the whole bag. So what you're gonna see me do is take the whole bag and dump it into a pan once we have the glaze going on for the nuts. Then, as you can see with my cast of characters here, we're just gonna be using maple syrup, some honey, and butter, because we need a little fat to add in to mix with this. If you don't like butter, if you're avoiding butter, try coconut oil instead. I find that that works just fine. But honestly, I like butter better. And get the spring for the good Kerrygold butter. That's my favorite. So what we're going to be doing, first of all, I want you to figure out what kind of nuts you want them to be. Do you want them just to be spicy? Do you want them to be sweet and salty? Do you want them to, I don't know, whatever, have whatever flavor profile? You can do whatever you want with this, but I wanted to try out just the sweet and a little bit salty and see how that turned out. The problem with sweet and salty nuts is I find sometimes either they're too sweet or they're too salty. You will find that as I'm going through with this recipe, I salt these nuts like a million times because I'm just adding a little bit at a time. Do a taste test, a little bit at a time, taste test. So let's get going on our recipe and I'll talk you through what we're going to do. First, I want you to start with the glaze. We're gonna start with the glaze. We are going to add roughly 8 tablespoons of maple syrup and a 1/4 cup of honey. And we're also gonna add 6 to 8 tablespoons of butter. Now this is assuming you're making 1.7 pounds and using the entire Costco bag. So if you're using less, you can proportion however you want. We're gonna let all that melt and get happy in the pan. And when we do that, we're just gonna continue to stir. You'll see it start to bubble at some point in time. When it's bubbling, you're good to go. You can turn the heat down. We want to make sure it's a glaze. So when you see it start to bubble, we're not making caramel, turn it down. Then what we're going to do is you can add in some spice here. So I like to add pumpkin pie spice. I like to add a little bit of salt. You can also add, if you are going for a spicier nut, you can add cayenne. You can add paprika. You can add more salt if you want them really spicy, salty. You can do that. It's up to you, but play around with this recipe. So what are we gonna do then? We're gonna dump all of the nuts into the saucepan and coat them. We just wanna make sure it's coated really well. And then once we finish with that, we're gonna put it onto a prepared baking sheet. And I will admit to you, I needed to do a baking sheet that was double the size that I used. I used a quarter size baking sheet, and those are my favorite because I'm always making a lot of tiny things, like little portions of things in the kitchen, especially if I'm testing recipes out. You can use a full sheet pan if you like. My only recommendation is to spray it with some sort of like non-stick spray, olive oil spray. I used a coconut oil spray. And then we're going to be laying out the nuts on a tray, okay, but on a baking sheet. We're gonna bake. I baked it at about 300 degrees. We are going to stir these nuts every 15 minutes. So in total, my baking time was about 45 minutes, and every 15 minutes I stirred. You don't want the heat up super high. You don't want to scorch them, but you want to make sure that they are cooked. So that's what, take it out of the oven, toss, whatever. At that point in time is a good time to add maybe more pumpkin pie spice, maybe more cinnamon, maybe more cayenne, maybe more salt. Stir the nuts. Put it back in the oven until we're done with our 45 minutes. So I like to stir it again when you get it out of the oven. You will see it looks a certain way when it's all good to go. The glaze isn't so liquidy. It looks a little bit thicker, and that's when you know that the glaze is good to go. So at that point in time, we're going to take our nuts out, stir again, salt again, flavor again. Okay, you get where I'm going. Give it 5 minutes to cool. Stir it again. So as it's cooling down, we're seasoning it. When you think you have it and you think that it's going to be cooling down, like the final portion of our cooling down is, I want you to lay out a large piece of tin foil on your kitchen counter or kitchen table, and we are going to sprinkle a thin layer of these nuts, like one layer, out on the tin foil. And like I said, you need to spray it with something, not any type of non-stick. Like I said, I use coconut oil spray. And the reason that we're going to do that is that you don't want like 5 different layers of nuts together in a clump. What you really want is for someone to grab a piece of the nuts, either from a jar like this, from a jar that you know you're giving them a gift. So it's either from a jar or from a bag or whatever. And you want them to have about 3 nuts in the cluster. So I like to think of it like that, because 3 nuts, that's at least 1 bite, maybe 2. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making sure that the clusters lay out and that everything cools. Again, this is a good time. Taste test. Is it to your liking? No. Go back and re-flavor, re-salt, redo all the spices again, and then see how it tastes. This is one of the things with cooking. How my mother cooked was by taste. And so I would ask her for a recipe. This drove me nuts. I would ask her for a recipe. Oh, Mom, this is so great. Can I get a recipe? I don't have a recipe. I just added blah, blah, blah together. Cooking by taste is really a skill. And what I find is that you end up with a more flavorful dish than if you were to just follow a recipe. For example, carrots. If you have carrots at the height of the season when they're just picked, they're going to taste a certain way. If you have carrots that have been sitting in your fridge that you got at the grocery store and they've been sitting in your fridge looking kind of sad, they're going to taste differently. The food that we eat tastes different throughout the season. This is why it's important that you know how to season and taste and know what your favorite tastes are. So that's pretty much it with the nuts. Again, we're using 8 tablespoons maple syrup, 1/4 cup of honey, 6 to 8 tablespoons of butter, 1 bag of pecans or walnuts. The walnuts are a little bit cheaper. The walnuts for 1.7 pounds are $10 at Costco. The pecans are $13.99. And then to taste, we're going to add pumpkin pie spice, cinnamon, cayenne, paprika, salt, whatever you want. Figure out your flavor profile first. Don't add it all at the same time. Figure out your flavor profile first, and then we are going to add accordingly. All right, friends, those are my spicy nuts. And I can't believe I made it the entire way through the video without making an inappropriate joke. But those are my spicy nuts for the holiday season. This is the perfect gift to give somebody if you want to show them that you've been thinking about them. The one funny thing that my husband said today was he looked at this jar and he's like, this is going to leave you hanging. This is not enough. So maybe this is a half pint jar. So maybe pint jars, or you could even get holiday Ziploc bags. I mean, do whatever you like, but you can make this a really special handmade gift, which is what I'm recommending that everyone does this holiday season. We don't need to be spending a ton of money to let someone know how much we care about them. All right, friends, make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. Get cooking, and I will see you next time.